Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to do something a little bit different. Mainly because Creative Assembly for some reason decided to give me, a person who's extremely horrible at card games, closed beta access to Total War Elysium. I'm not kidding, I'm not great, but with all that aside, a big thank you to Creative Assembly for giving me closed beta access. Especially since the channel has been on such a high lately, I'm just so excited to share content with you guys. Please bear in mind that I've not had that much access to Elysium as I've only recently become a content partner, but I feel like I can show a decent amount of stuff. Now before we start looking at actual game footage, let's discuss the main menu. Obviously there's certain things that I can and can't show you due to the fact that this is a closed beta, but I'll try my best to cover as much as I can. The main menu itself is what's showing on screen, and I'll be honest, it just seems a bit too loud. Honestly, this is just a personal thing, but I think that the character being so up front in the screen just distracts from everything else. But obviously as this is still in beta format, it's very possible that this could change. That being said, the main menu does look quite good. Everything seems to be where it needs to be, where everything seems to be outlined quite well, and is visually distinct enough to be noticeable. Obviously the main menu and well the game itself is tailored to be compatible for both PC and mobile, so it seems to work quite well. On the right hand side there seems to be a daily quest system. Now I'm not sure if this resets every 6 hours or 24 hours, as when I did clear the free quest there, it said that I had 6 hours until a new one was unlocked, and I'm not sure if this unlocks every 24 hours or a set period of time. So it could be that I was just getting close to the daily quest reset. The big thing that I imagine people might be annoyed about is the fact that there seems to be a store on the left side of the menu. Stores are very common in online trading card games. I'm not a really big fan of them because I feel like in most cases it actually leads to a lot of pay to win elements. But a store does make sense. Obviously they want this game to be profitable, and a store would just do that. If we look for example towards Blizzard's Hearthstone, the reason why it's updated so frequently is because it's got a very profitable store. But let's not worry too much about that, let's get into the main brunt of this video, let's go check out the games. Please bear in mind we're going to touch upon most of the stuff here in brief, and in the future we'll have a few videos coming out shortly after, which will go into much more greater detail regarding mechanics and so on. It's safe to assume that most people checking out this video have played an online card game before, but just in case you're new to the genre, I'm going to go over a basic framework on how most, if not all of them work. Now as stated before, I'm not that good when it comes to trading card games, yet I still play them. And while all of them can drastically vary with a unique style, gameplay and so on, it is important to know that a lot of them will have very similar mechanics in a core function at the very least. Two players, each taking a turn after the other. In their respective turn they pick up a new card and are able to place one or multiple cards onto the battlefield if they have the available resource. These cards are normally split into two groups. Firstly we have the unit card. The unit card itself is your basic frontline soldier. The cards have their own attack and health values, and it's the main way to actually kill off the enemy general. Other than units, you have access to action cards, which can do a variety of different things. Heal a commander, do damage to a unit, or even just summon a bunch of low-cost units. It just depends on the card. And lastly, each player has access to a commander type character, which acts as your basic health bar. The moment you take the enemy commander's health bar to 0 or yours goes down to 0, you win or lose the game. Simple enough concept, so let's move on. So how are the Total War team trying to make Elysium stand out from any other trading card game? Well, as you may have noticed with the footage already playing on screen, there are a few noticeable differences. Firstly, your deck of cards is rather small, having an option of 18 unique cards. But you won't have access to all 18 at any given time. Instead, at the beginning of each turn, known as days, we'll get to the days part of this video in a little bit, each time a new day starts you'll pick 9 cards from those 18, and those would be the cards that you have a chance of picking up when you pick up a new card. This allows you to focus on low cost cards early on and high cost cards late game. Now to make sure that these days last longer, there are 6 different sub-phases within this turn. 3 for you and 3 for the other player. This is implemented in a player 1, player 2, player 1, player 2 basis, and once both players have been able to have 3 separate turns, then they move on to the next day, where they'll also be able to now re-pick the 9 cards that they want to have active. This might sound a bit complicated because essentially it's turns within turns, but believe me, it plays out quite simply, it's not that complicated whatsoever. Now we'll look towards the actual battlefield map, which is separated into 2 lanes per player. Now both of these lanes actually have different purposes in game. Your front lane acts as the main deployment zone for any units that you may have that may be melee focused. So long as you have units in your front lane, your commander cannot be directly attacked unless attacked by ranged or flanking units. Whereas your back lane acts as a deployment zone for reserve units, any ranged units, and usually harbors your commander. There are a few different types of units in this game, and don't worry, we'll have a video on that soon enough, which will showcase what they do on the battlefield. But one thing you may have noticed is that I mentioned reserves. So in truth, they're not reserves, but instead they're units that you may have summoned in the back rank that you want to move forward into the forward rank later. When your units activate on a new phase once again, you can either choose to attack something, but if you don't want to attack, you can either keep them there and not do anything, or if you want to reserve them or move them forward, you may spend that action by moving them forward or backwards. This also works for your commander, so early game you can have him in the front rank doing some damage, but once it gets to a point later game where your enemy might be summoning too many units, you can move your commander back and keep him safe. But generally that covers everything in brief. Don't worry, as I stated before, we will have a video in the future going into greater detail for everything else. The average match length is around 5 to 10 minutes, which I think is rather fair. This is something quite casual, so it's not like you're investing that much time into a match where you'll just have to be focused on that, but not so little that everything just feels like it was worthless. Obviously, we have to take into account that this game is still in development, so everything that I'm showing you right now could be subject to change. But so far, things are looking good. I must admit that when Elysium was originally announced, I wasn't too interested. But after giving it some thought, I realized that I'd be silly not to check it out at least, considering that it is a new Total War title, and so drastically different to other Total Wars that we're used to. It still has that tactical element that we're used to in terms of Total War, so it still has that somewhat Total War feeling. And I'm assuming that we'll get more of that feeling as time progresses. The game doesn't really have a launch date at the moment, it's still in closed beta and it doesn't have an official release date. It's actually stated that they won't release it until they're fully satisfied. So all we can do is hope for the best. I do have one big fear though, and I do want to highlight it here, which is in the case that, well, we've seen some big companies, I'm not going to mention who, but you probably guess who I'm thinking of, where they release a card game like this and, well, you know, they tend to ignore their main titles in favor of this because it seems to make more money. Because obviously the cost of production for something like this is much lower than anything else, and I'm just hoping that this doesn't really become a problem. I know I'm probably thinking a bit negative here, but we've seen this happen before. That being said, I'm excited to see how this develops. Now, Creative Assembly have informed us of a sign-up sheet, which I'm going to put in a pinned comment, which I assume is to allow people to get into the closed beta, especially if they want to target specific countries. That will also take you to the Elysium main website, so you'll be able to check out an FAQ which has any details regarding it, just in case you're looking for anything in specific that I might not have covered. But thank you for checking out the video. We'll have a few more in the days to come, and hopefully I'll actually get a bit more time to actually be able to record some stuff. It just happens, really. I've been super busy at work, it happens. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below, we have various different social media links such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team, talk to us about Total War, Warhammer, or just anything really. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could get loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Purchasing using this link and also using our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patrons Gibraltar LUSC and Ryan Bertsche for subscribing to us at our fame level. Honestly, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, the channel's been growing a lot lately and it's all thanks to you guys. Without you, the Great Book would be nothing. We're trying to implement more videos into the channel soon, but we're getting stuff done outside of YouTube at the moment, just like artwork and so on for the channel. It's just taking a little while to get everything to look to a standard that we feel is cool. Honestly guys, thank you so much for all the support lately, it's been amazing. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very soon. Have a good day.